Good morning, creatures. Welcome back to episode 3. There are some things that I have to get out of the way before we kind of dive deep into this. Bear with me for the start of this episode because my empathy is running on 10 today. We're going to tap into self-love today, so it just kind of seems fitting for these emotions to arise. There are a few things that are just repeating through my head all day today. So it's just one of those things that I have to let out, and whoever is meant to hear this message, I do truly hope it helps you. So to start it off, you do deserve more. Breaking yourself and working harder does not mean you are going to achieve it. You are aligned with something bigger. The only time that you should be thinking about your past is when you are reminiscing about how far you've come from it. You were worth it the entire time. Your mind is what is holding you back from what you deserve. You are loved, you are not alone, and you are not doing it wrong. You made the right choice, and you will absolutely receive the emotional benefits. And last but far from least, patience creates beauty. Whoever needed these messages today, I hear you, I feel you, and I know it hurts right now, but you're almost through it, so keep holding on. I say bear with me because I hate to ever feel like I'm low energy for you guys, and I always want to continue to be that bright, bubbly personality. But this topic in itself definitely has a lot of emotions. I've watched myself and so many other people inside and outside of my life create so many hardships for themselves because of self-love or the lack of self-love, whether it be just traumatic events that have happened or unknowledgeable about the true meaning. And that's kind of why I want to go through it today. So this is a topic that has been coming up quite often with the people around me and the people that I love. A huge thing that really hit me hard, mostly when it comes to our confidence aspect, is the best people that I have ever met that are just so pure heart and loving, and in my eyes, the most perfect beings that I could have ever met. They get so vulnerable and talk so low about themselves. And it made me realize that I was doing the exact same thing for so long, where you have your banter with your friends back and forth and you just kind of talk about yourself poorly, typically in that sarcastic, funny manner. But there's been times where it just gets a little serious, and I use humor in most aspects of my life, especially when it comes to anything that I've ever been insecure about. I've kind of just cracked jokes about it, just like many people have. To me, I just think it's funny, and it's just kind of my outlet to really release it. Seeing the people you love do it, knowing that there's meaning behind it because you do the same exact thing, it shifted such a deep thought in me, because I was sitting here thinking, like, all these people are beyond incredible. Like, in my eyes, I think they're perfect. I think they're stunning. I think they have a beautiful heart. And I realized they thought the exact same way about me every time I said the same things that they did. And practicing my self-talk has been something that I have practiced for years. It's not always on point 100% of the time. Maybe one day it will be. But it felt like this physical key was unlocking a part of my brain that I didn't even see that way before. Just about how much our own minds lie to us, that we subconsciously make these defense mechanisms and coping mechanisms and the walls that we build in our mind and the way we speak to us because either something happened or somebody made you feel that way. Something was said to you that kind of just locked into your brain forever. And that was what convinced you that that's who you really are, or that's how you really acted, or that's what you really looked like. So a big part of that confidence building when it comes to self-love was learning how to take a step back from what your brain was saying, to be able to kind of be still enough to see it from a different angle. And I've read this book 1.5 times. It's called Practicing the Power of Now. And one of the practices is to pretend that you kind of split your brain into, and you have yourself sitting on a couch watching your thoughts. Imagine it as like another you, just kind of, I look at it pacing back and forth in a room and just talking and talking and talking. And you're kind of just sitting back on the couch chilling, watching this you go by over and over again. And what it does is it will actually step you back to look at things a different way, to see the clarity and the truth in what you're actually thinking, which in turn just makes you realize that those aren't truth at all. The easy way to put it, guys, is our highest self just doesn't speak bad. It doesn't speak negative. It's not mean. Our highest self, and the pure definition of self-love, is truly unconditional. And I don't think I even realized what that word meant until recently, until I started having all these conversations that really just kind of started connecting the way that not only I thought, but different people thought. And once you put all those together, you kind of start filling in different pieces that you might not have thought of. So for my explanation, these conversations that I've had a lot of lately, I keep receiving these things about, I do love myself. I love this about me. I love this about me. I love this about me. And it always happens to be those super positive experiences or the positive characteristics, which, yes, we would absolutely love about ourselves. I love that I'm loyal. I love that I work hard. I love that I'm a stubborn optimist. I love that I can bring brightness and joy to anybody that crosses my path. I love that my heart stays open no matter what has ever happened to me. I love that I can forgive everyone that has ever done harm to me. I love that I can genuinely give best wishes and wish absolutely no ill will to anyone on this earth. But I also love that I stayed too long in situations that were toxic for me, because those people deserved to feel love through everything that they were going through and projecting. I love that I was taken for granted and taken advantage of, because that means I provided a place where people knew that I would always be there for them. I love that I was convinced that I wasn't enough, because it changed my entire desire and need for external validations, and it put me in a place that I could validate myself. I love that I still make mistakes, because it gives me the opportunity to continue to learn and help others get through the exact same thing. I love when I fear failing any task that I go for, because it reminds me how much strength I have when I face that fear and keep pushing forward. And I love that I'm sensitive and I cry a lot. I have emotions. I love being sensitive. I love being an empath, because I can feel other people's emotions. I can relate on such an intense level, and I can feel the truth even if somebody isn't comfortable enough to tell me it. To get a little bit out of this so I can stop being so emotional, though, self-love isn't loving the positive aspects of you. Genuine self-love is loving every single aspect, every negative, every mistake, every addiction, every negative thought. It's not about killing your ego. It's about loving your ego. It is about loving that side of you that doesn't have control of your anger, because it means you are feeling your emotions. It means you are aware enough to make a change on how you react to situations. We spend so much of our time giving this unconditional love to everybody except ourselves. You're so willing to forgive anybody for what they did to you. I guess not everybody, but you know what I'm talking about. But there's so many times that we're not even willing to give ourselves that same grace, that same forgiveness, that same unconditional love. The change that so many of us need to make is learning how to fight for ourselves the same way that we fight for others. I knew it was going to be an emotional subject, but This was something that was so difficult for me to even get close enough to touch for so many years of my life. For so long, I was that people pleaser that just gave everything to everybody else and completely ignored me. I wanted to help everybody else achieve everything they ever desired, but I would never step foot in doing it for myself. And a lot of that was fear of rejection and fear of failure, lacking the idea that I deserved any more than what I had. And I've gone through so much gratitude in the last few days. So all of these tears are happy tears. There was so much reflection of just ways that I used to think, how I used to feel, where I used to be, and just how grateful I am to be where I am right now. To understand that this moment isn't my end game. I feel like I finally aligned with exactly where I'm supposed to be and accepting that and loving that. You have to be able to set aside those good parts of yourself for a second and really sit back and write down or journal about the things that you don't like. That's a hard list to make. But even if you just start with a few things that you just don't appreciate about yourself, it leaves you room and opportunity to look through this list and really start reflecting on, why do I not like that about myself? What am I so scared of that makes me think that this isn't okay to be? What aspect of my life created me to be that person or to think that way or to feel that way? And then go through all these questions and figure out, where's my sliver of silver lining in it? How did it change my mind? Who did it make me become? Parts of you and your personality and your characteristics came from those fears or those mistakes of those parts of yourself that you didn't like. And you might not see it, but you can eventually line these things up and realize that they're all stringed together. We are so hard on ourselves because of these expectations that we've created. The attention to detail, the attachment to the outcome, the programming that we're meant to be in a specific place in our lives at a specific time that we think we maybe saw somebody else do. And we're even harder when we continue to fight and fight and fight and fight for something that we want and we desire so much, to just not even realize that that's not something that's meant for us. And instead of thinking, there's bigger, I'm meant for bigger, we go into such a negative self-talk of, I just don't deserve it. I'm not fighting hard enough. I'm not working hard enough. I'm not doing good enough. I am not enough. But a lot of this life relies on trust, patience, understanding. It will come forward. Before I get too sidetracked and get off topic, because I always do, another huge part of self-love outside of your confidence aspect is boundaries. I don't know about you guys, but it took me decades and a whole lot of hard work for me to not only learn what a boundary was, how long it took me to finally create them, and then the incredibly long time after that to finally learn how to implement those boundaries in my life. You have to realize how important you are and how deserving you are to realize that finding peace comes a lot with setting boundaries, because at the end of the day, you don't have to accept hard things in your life. You just don't. You don't have to react to negativity or react to people talking about you or care what anybody thinks. You don't even have to care what you look like. You don't have to care about what people think of the job that you do, the way that you speak. You don't have to care about if you're loved by other people. And yeah, of course, that feels great. What a validation it is. But when you truly find that actual self-love, where you don't need that validation from other people, that you don't need to be surrounded by anybody to feel it, it's just an entirely different world. That's what we want to achieve. Self-love isn't an easy achievement. It takes so much strength and courage to look at the deepest, darkest parts of yourself, to look at every single regret and just give it love, to look at every mistake and give it love, It's about showing up and fighting for you over and over. That when you have those faulty days, when you fall back into old patterns, none of that means that you're failing. None of that means that you have to go backwards. It is your opportunity to look at every single one of those situations and think to yourself, I am human. I will go through cycles. Realize that these things made you stronger. They made you better. So if you have a couple of moments of your time tonight, I want you to grab a piece of paper and sit down. And on one side of your piece of paper, I want you to write every single thing that you love about yourself. Be as vulnerable and honest as you possibly can. Take a giant deep breath. Get yourself alone time. Hide in a bathroom if you have to. And on the other side of that paper, I want you to write every single one of your insecurities and everything that you dislike about yourself. And when you finish that page, I want you to look at that negative aspect side. And I want you to really reflect through what has caused you to feel that way about yourself. What happened? What was told to you? Try to really dig deep into the true meaning of why you feel this way. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Do not put pressure or expectations on yourself. But when you come to at least a couple of conclusions of those, I want you to start trying to figure out through those positive aspects, what positive characteristics, what do you love about yourself that may have caused from those negatives? Open that opportunity to find yourself more in the element of everything happens for a reason. Take away the control that those parts of you have over your emotions. If it helps, something that I do is every time those negative aspects pop up, I will speak out loud and just say, I love you. These thoughts might be wrong, but I still love you anyways. And the most important part of having all the things that you love about yourself on the other side is when you are going through all these things about yourself and all these emotions are surfacing, it still gives you space to have gratitude for everything that is so incredible about you. You are beautiful. You are well-deserving. You are going to succeed. So to wrap this up to the best of my abilities, fight for yourself. Fight harder for yourself every single day. You are doing great. You are not off your path. You are exactly where you are meant to be. And the only way that you can get further along is to sit still, be patient. Most of the time, realize that none of this is in your control. And remember to just have fun on this journey. Most things in life are just not that serious. Give yourself rest and grace. If you are struggling to get up and do something you love, try to think, if somebody asked me to do this for them, would I do it? If the answer is yes, get up and do it for you. The only way to achieve all of the external things that you want to achieve is by starting to do them for yourself, to show up for yourself, to love yourself, to fight for yourself. A good way to start this process is take one thing that you love, one single thing, and it doesn't have to be big. Nothing about work, nothing that you think will get you further in life, just a hobby, something that makes you incredibly happy. Carve out time at least once a week to do that and only that, even if it only takes a couple of hours to do, just do it. If you have to write sticky notes all over your house, if you want to make a gratitude list every single morning, even just 5 items, what you're grateful for in your life. Just retrain your mind to stay in that positive area. You don't only deserve love when you're at your best. You deserve it in your lowest moments too. So if you haven't heard it today, I love you. I'm proud of you. Please keep going, because even if you don't see it, the rest of the world does. You are doing so great. And I don't make promises that I can't keep, but I can promise you we're going to get through this together. So for now, to end on another note, the usual, make sure that you guys subscribe to the YouTube channel. Make sure you're downloading the episodes on Spotify or Apple Podcasts if that's what you're listening on. And feel free to share this around to anybody that you know that might need that little boost for the day. And thank you guys for sticking around, tuning in with me. And always, in all ways, be present, be calm, and be a creature. I'll see you guys hopefully on a little bit less of an emotional level next week.